Uh-oh. Whoops. LinkedIn says you're not approved.
LinkedIn hates us.
We're live.
Oh, we're live.
What's going on? What's going on?
Welcome to the latest rendition of the Ronnie and Bonnie Show.
Ronnie and Bonnie Show. We are talking electric cars today.
Yeah, we're talking about the one of the interesting surprises of how things have gone with the electric cars, which is that apparently hybrids are much more popular now that we've started to talk about electric cars, and Toyota is taking advantage of that.
Yesterday, I was working with a client that wanted a Sienna and they wanted a 2021 hybrid. They specifically wanted a hybrid. And I'm like, okay, I hope this is not difficult to get because hybrids are usually a small percentage of the manufacturer's vehicles. What I found out by the end of the day was you cannot get a Sienna in a gas engine.
That's right. You want a 2021 Sienna, it's going to be a hybrid. There's no way around it.
You can still get the all-wheel drive, which is what these folks want in Colorado. But it's a hybrid, which is great. And so what they did was they reduced the size of the engine to a 4-cylinder, but it has lots of power. We're still investigating the horsepower.
3 electric motors in with that.
3 electric motors with the hybrid. So it's got enough torque. It's very powerful. Here's the whole point. They didn't really go up in price. The pricing is about the same as it was last year, but now you get a hybrid motor.
And this is always a funny thing to me that because I've driven hybrids for years, and people will say, "Oh, the hybrids, you can barely get on the highway with those with the small engine." But those electric engines, like the extra, like there's a lot more power than you think because you have to add in the power of the electric pieces as well as the conventional engine. So though Toyotas are, my little Prius is probably not meant to be like a turbo or anything like that, but it does just fine getting on the highway. Yeah,
I've been in the car and I weigh over 200 pounds and
I'm still able to get on the highway.
We got on the highway.
Yeah, no one got killed. It was fine. So I expect in the Sienna, it's even better. There should be lots of power in that car with those extra three engines.
Well, when we get it in next week sometime, we'll take a look at it and walk around the car and discuss it. But this just sparked this conversation, though, for everybody out there. This electric thing, GM has their pledge to be all electric by 2035. California put that mandate out that all vehicles have to be electric by 2035, right?
Yeah.
And now, all of the manufacturers are going in. My mentor told me, he said, listen, Tesla's not going to usher in the electric revolution.
No, it'll be the Toyotas and the GMs. And do you know who sold the most electric vehicles last year in the world? It's not Tesla. It was Volkswagen. Volkswagen sold the most electric vehicles in the world.
And I've yet to sell a single Volkswagen electric car. Which car is that? The ID4? I mean, I've seen that.
Well, they sold a lot of them in Europe, so we don't necessarily have access to those cars. But and in Norway, I believe half of the vehicles that were sold were electric.
Well, yeah, you would think Norway. I've seen Zac Efron's show, and they've gone up there, and it's really, really everything recycles itself.
Yeah. So they're really popular there. So I would expect that, though. I would expect to see the electrics become more popular first in Europe, where cars are smaller and they have all kinds of like quirky little cars. Places like Japan, where cars are also smaller. But here we have a lot of distance to cover, and so the range issue is still out there. It's still a problem.
300 miles.
Yeah. And you don't know where you're going to be able to stop and charge the car. But with the hybrid, you don't have that problem. The car basically charges itself using the gasoline. So you just stop at the gas station like any other car, but you get more miles out of that. That's why I love my car. I just keep going. Other people have to stop at the gas station.
It's like 50 miles to the gallon?
Yep.
So like the people are wondering about electric power and torque, and lots of my friends are like, well, what about my trucks? And I'm like, man, they just created a Hummer that has 1,000 horsepower and 11,500 foot-pounds of torque. That's not a misstatement. I mean, it's insane power.
Yeah.
For 300 miles.
Yeah, for 300 miles. That's true. But you can get as much power out of electricity as you can out of gasoline. And there's no like physical, I can't think of any physical limitation other than the batteries. But even that technology is rapidly evolving. So
didn't Elon make a tractor trailer already that's going to be going out to Amazon to self-deliver vehicles, and it's driving?
Yeah.
They're delivering products and whatever.
Yeah.
That tractor trailer is not maybe available to the public, but I've seen it, on not commercials, but I've seen it on TV and articles. Like, that thing's got to be going more than 300 miles.
Well, I think that's a big use of, when people are thinking creatively about how to use these electric vehicles right now, it's hard to get from like here to Montana with one. But if you're delivering products or you're just shipping things back and forth, you might be delivering food. There's a lot of these funny little autonomous electric vehicles that are being developed to do that. So they basically look like file cabinets that are driving down the road by themselves.
Yeah.
And I've never seen one in person. We don't have any in Colorado Springs, but I expect we will at some point. So if you see a file cabinet driving down the road, don't be alarmed. It's just an autonomous electric delivery vehicle.
Well, guys, the thing about it is you can still buy them, lease them, finance them.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is really changing. It's just, I thought it was very interesting that you can no longer get this vehicle in the hybrid. What's the other Toyota vehicle that's no longer available in the hybrid and it's coming back?
That is the Venza, the Toyota Venza, which I think went out of production and has come back as a hybrid. You can only get it as a hybrid, but that is it's an SUV. It's not as big as the Sienna, obviously, but it's a nice little car, and it only comes as a hybrid now.
So,
oh yeah, you should show off this. You have to see the new Sienna. Let's
take a look at it.
It looks different than the old Sienna.
So it's a little bit different, if you look at the front end. Look at that, though. I mean, it's a minivan, but it's only available in a hybrid. Look at the screen. Yeah,
it's like, and it's probably, I noticed something. It's funny to me because we drive a lot of cars around here, and so I'll pick up like an older car that doesn't have push button start, and I always forget that you have to like really start the engine because my car basically just boots up, and these are going to be the same way.
I'm sorry, I need to pick up a check for Randy.
Hi.
Or actually for me, but.
All right, I'll excuse myself, and you can talk about it, Bonnie.
All right.
Hang on 1 second. We have a client here.
Yeah, we have a client here.
And then we'll bring up the Venza.
Now I'm just going to ad lib for a couple of minutes, and we'll see how this goes. So one of the things I find interesting, actually, but this is not necessarily related to hybrids, although it sort of is, but the design of the vehicles is, for a long time, people would come in and they would talk about, I want a boxier vehicle. People would come in and ask for older versions of the Sienna or any other vehicle because they had a boxier shape and they didn't like the way that newer cars were like shaped like half an egg. They're all shaped like half an egg. But as you can see from looking at the Sienna, they're moving towards more boxy shape at this point. And I find it's interesting because one of the reasons that things were shaped like half an egg was because of the aerodynamics. But it doesn't matter so much in an electric vehicle because we're not burning gasoline. And so I suppose they would have moved back towards boxier shapes anyway, because people just seem to like boxier cars and they can't stay the same shape forever. But we're definitely seeing a lot more vehicles moving in that direction. So if you've been thinking that it would be nice to have a vehicle that didn't look like breakfast, then you're in luck because they are moving in that, they're changing in that way. So they're still working on the check, and I'm still ad-libbing, and I appreciate people that have stuck with us for this long. What else can I tell you about hybrids? Oh, good, you're back.
Yeah, I forgot we had a client coming in.
Oh, well, what a funny time.
Well, I wanted to bring up that Venza so I can take a look at it.
Oh, yeah, let's take a look at the Venza.
Is brand new.
Because I was talking about the shape of the cars. You might notice that they're becoming boxier. They're less like half an egg.
Why is that?
I believe that it is in part because people seem to be asking for boxy vehicles, but also because the aerodynamics are not as important when you're not burning gasoline.
Are you serious?
Well, I think it's psychological. It will still use more power because it's got to push its way through the air. However, if you're not using gasoline, maybe it doesn't matter so much because you just charge it back up. I could be totally wrong.
It's just speculation.
It's speculation. But I had to ad lib, so, I did the best I could.
All right, let's see here. Highlander, Forerunner, Prime. Here it is.
There
All
we
new
go,
Venza. Starting at 32 grand. Let's build it. And you're telling me this is hybrid?
Yeah, the 2021.
let's see if people like the way this thing looks. So it looks like it's only available in all-wheel drive.
Oh, so that's the one that's only available in all-wheel drive. Now it makes sense. They told us the Sienna was only available in all-wheel drive, but it wasn't true. You can still get it in front-wheel drive if you want, but not the Venza. The Venza is only available as an all-wheel drive hybrid vehicle.
Let's take a look at this one. See what you guys think of this. So this is what it looks like from the side. This is a hybrid. I mean, it looks like the old Venza. The front end is a little different. That interior is nice.
Yeah, that is a nice interior.
I found Toyota to be a little bit behind in the technology game, but it looks like for 21, they're stepping it up.
Yeah. Yeah, Toyotas are generally just really solid cars. Like they're not. I mean, it's just been my impression that if you want like a fancy car or something with a lot of technology or that's like really beautiful, you wouldn't necessarily go for a Toyota. But if
you drive one,
and I drive one, yeah. But if you want something that is solid, will get you from place to place, has a good reputation for reliability, then a Toyota is a good vehicle. And I think that's why so many people come in looking for Toyotas. I
used to sell a RAV4 every month. All the time. Like RAV4s were like all the rave. And, as leasing is getting more and more popular again, there's lots of things. You can get Subarus, you can get Volkswagens, Hyundais, all different types of people that are competing for that market share. So
Right. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting point, actually, because the market share of smaller vehicles is changing as well. So if you want something like the Venza or even like the Prius, if you're looking for a subcompact car or even a compact car, it's going to be harder to find them because a lot of manufacturers are phasing them out because they're selling a lot more big vehicles, bigger SUVs, minivans, trucks. But the small car segment has not been as popular. But Toyota is sticking with theirs, so you'll still be able to get those.
The Yaris and the small Prius and the Prius C.
The Yaris might be. I'm not sure about the Yaris, but the Prius C was phased out, but there's still a Prius and there's still this Venza. And so there's smaller versions of vehicles.
Let's see if you know the answer to this question. What's the difference between a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid?
I don't actually know. That's a good question.
Because they have the Prius Prime.
They do have a plug-in hybrid.
Plug-in hybrid, but hybrid means it still gets gas. I mean, 70 miles to the gallon.
I wonder if it primarily uses the electric engine and then just switches to gasoline when it needs it.
Yeah, anybody have the answer to that question?
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Drop it in there, but they still make a plug-in hybrid. The RAV4 Prime is something that lots of people are seeking, but you just can't get one right now. They're sold out. But that thing's all electric. It's plug-in hybrid.
Plug-in hybrid.
Once again, it's a plug-in hybrid.
I think we'll have to do our next video on plug-in hybrids.
We're going to have to do a video on plug-in hybrids. So let's see. Danny Ramos. Dodge was phasing out the Caravan. Sienna should pick up the sales for that. Wow. Danny Ramos. Thanks for that info.
That is interesting.
Did you know?
No, I did not know that.
We're experts in this game, but we don't know it all.
There's a lot to follow. There's a lot of stuff changing in the car market, especially right now.
Yeah.
Between electrics and the general shortage of parts and vehicles, and it's a crazy time. If you're looking for a new vehicle, something that's a 2021, they're slow to come out. You're paying more than sticker in some cases. This after 2020 and the shutdowns of the factories, I just don't know how long it's going to be till things go back into back to normal. It
says it right here, Danny Ramos. It will be discontinued. So
the Dodge
production, the Caravan will cease production, phasing out by May at the Windsor Kennedy Assembly Plant. So we'll have to continue to research that, but it says it's going away. That's a whole segment. You realize that Dodge created the minivan.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, the Caravan was the first minivan. Fact checkers can check that, but for me, from what I know, the Caravan was the first minivan. So to see them get out of the game, as Toyota's stepping in with the hybrid,
yeah, that's something.
It's really weird. There's lots of moms and families out there, and dads with families, and that need to have 3 or 4 kids on a van.
I wonder if they're only phasing out the Caravan, maybe they're introducing a new one.
What about the Pacifica? Chrysler makes the Pacifica. So thanks for the info, Danny. We're going to have to...
we'll do a little research. That'll be interesting.
And you are now the expert, Danny, even though you said you're not. You're the expert. because we don't know. But yeah, that is so interesting. I think that this whole message today was just about how it's just interesting how in the news we're hearing all this stuff about hybrids and electric vehicles by 2035. But now we're starting to see on the ground that they are making changes.
Yeah.
No gas motor in that Sienna is a big deal to me.
Yeah, it's a big deal to me too. But there's another law that's been coming into play in some states about not being able to sell conventional gasoline engines after a certain year, like 2025.
25 or 35?
It depends on some of them are closer. It depends on the state. It's not a federal law, and I'm not an expert on this, but I know there are states where that's becoming an issue. And so if California is one of those states, that would definitely be pushing them in the direction of trying to produce more unconventional vehicles, if I may use that term.
Yeah, I think it's probably 35
Yeah.
because 25 is only 4 years away.
I don't know. I mean, electrics are available.
Fact checkers.
Yeah, somebody look it up.
When are you serious? Like certain states are going to be like no gasoline vehicle sales.
That's California.
In 2025.
I think it's 2025. It was quick. And even our own state has some sort of law like that, but I don't remember what the year is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, this thing is changing rapidly. So
it's changing rapidly.
I see my brother Chris Askins is in there, and Chris, you may be getting a hybrid in a year and a half, and your lease is up.
Which isn't a bad thing. I love my hybrid.
Well, you look
it's the
at the
second
gas
one I've
mileage.
driven. Yeah.
Let's look at the gas mileage on that van. I mean, 36 city and highway. That's a lot.
That's a lot for a minivan.
They were doing what, 22, maybe 28 on the highway. Now you're 36 miles to the gallon. So crazy, guys. Crazy stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Get ready for it. And what does that do to the value of your vehicle if you still have an old one that's burns a lot of gas?
Well, you can't get a new one. So it could go either way. Because we will still be allowed to sell used gasoline vehicles. So if people want gasoline vehicles, I guess it depends on how well people accept hybrids.
I guess it could drive the price up. It could go down. We don't know.
Yeah.
It just remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen. And I'd be really interested to hear what people think about driving a hybrid or driving an electric. Is that being pushed in that direction? Is that good? Is that bad? Will you like your hybrid or your electric, or will you be trying to get older conventional gasoline engine vehicles?
Yeah, I don't know, Bonnie. I think it's going to be super interesting, but
it is.
We're going to stay along for the ride. So next week, we'll go back live again. We're going to be bringing topics that we find interesting in this industry that are affecting us today.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, guys, it's going to affect you too. So stay on the lookout for that. We'll try to do better as we go along broadcasting this stuff. Bonnie and I are total rookies, but we're having fun.
We are having fun. That's right. That's the whole point. That's why I come here every day, because it's fun.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if they have any other questions. Solid state battery technology hopefully does well, and possibly hydrogen technology.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about hydrogen technology lately, but that doesn't mean they're not still working on it.
Why can't my boat suck in water and push out energy? We would suck the lake dry.
I'm not that kind of scientist. I don't know.
It's not renewable. Okay.
That would be something.
Let's keep it on electric for a while.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah,
we really appreciate
it.
If you got any specific questions, post it in the comments, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
That's right.
Thank you.